Hey, everybody, welcome back to Down the Barrel. I'm Benjamin Young, your state webmaster for CVMA Wisconsin. All right, tonight we got some news for you and some other things we're going to cover. And with me, as always, is Theo Hollywood Williams joining us tonight, and as well as Nathan Diggity Stern, your Region 4 state, or your Region 4 representative, not state representative. I'm just an idiot. Don't worry about it. Diggity, glad to have you here with us tonight.
Thank you for having me tonight, guys. It's pretty special for me to be here on this call, on this podcast with the both of you, having worked with so closely with both of you these last few years at the state level for Wisconsin. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Definitely
Yeah,
great to put you in the mix.
we
We're
definitely
ready to hammer through some road talk and some veteran updates. All right. Let's go ahead and kick it off. As usual, we usually start off with just going around Wisconsin. What's going on? Some recent rides that we've had. Dash 6 had their, or sorry, not Dash 6, but Dash 3 had their veteran suicide awareness ride at the beginning of September out of Wrightstown. That was a really heartfelt ride. I believe it's the fourth one that you've done. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, fourth annual ride that we did, and it was really touching for us and for the family for sure.
Definitely. And then we also coming up for some events on the 4th. Our Manitowoc chapter -7 has a fall ride that they do every year, so they can see changing of the colors and whatnot. And it's really just a group ride to bond and just get right as a group. Also on the 4th is our first ever Wisconsin Auxiliary Ball. Our Milwaukee chapter is hosting that in downtown Milwaukee. I believe it's at the War Memorial. Like I said, it's the first ever one in Wisconsin. So just give a shout out to them for tackling this. I know there's many other states out there that have done balls. So I'm glad that Wisconsin is starting kind of this tradition and hopefully it becomes an annual festivity. And then on the 6th, there's a golf marathon that CVMA Wisconsin is the beneficiary. I believe it's 36 holes of golf at New Berlin Hills in New Berlin, obviously. And then on the 21st of October is Dash 2's their monthly meat raffle. That's out of the Snout Saloon. And then on the 22nd is Dash 9 meat raffle, which is Janesville area out of VFW post 629 or 621. Sorry, out of Janesville. So that's kind of in a nutshell. Obviously, all of our chapters. It's September in Wisconsin, September, October in Wisconsin. So we're all grasping at those days to get out and ride because we know that the cold and white stuff is coming. Like I said, highlight is the Ox Dash 1's Ox putting on the ball. We've got obviously there's all chapters. I know we just had yesterday. I believe there was the Honor the Fallen ride up in northern Wisconsin, and I believe I want to say 3 or 4 chapters were represented there to support that. And just in general, this past year, what I witnessed is more chapters coming to each other's events, which is really good. I believe I've attended most of them, and I don't believe there's any less than 3 or 4 chapters represented at each event, which is amazing, which is great. That's what we're about, vets helping vets and supporting each other.
Yeah, it has been amazing, especially at some other events. I've seen people even from outside the state, other states coming and supporting us. Oh, man, it's been really amazing.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then I wanted to give a shout out. I know we announced on Facebook the state meeting, but we should be finalizing everything up for that for people to start registering for this 2026 state meeting up in Lac de Flambeau, and that's going to be on the 23rd of January to the 25th. And we'll just put that announcement right in here, and we'll just show everybody, just so if they didn't see it on Facebook, they'll see it right now.
Right. Perfect. That's awesome. Yeah, it should be a good time. I know it's kind of everybody, usually people that are out of our state, they say, why do you do your state meeting in January? Well, we have to deal with the winter and not being able to ride. So it's a way for us to kind of all get together and uh, reconnect and rejuvenate that brotherhood feeling in the middle of, I'm not going to say the darkest time of the year, but a time where we can't do what we love, right? Riding motorcycles. So,
Yeah, it definitely is that nice regathering that we do. Man, I love it. I love it every year, especially seeing everybody, and it's always a good time. So
it's
if you
always,
haven't been, or if you're a new member to CVMA Wisconsin, or just from outside the state, come join us. It's always a blast. I mean, everybody always has a good time. And then what we've been doing the past couple of years is having these theme nights. So right after the meeting, we go into the after party and we have the theme night, and that's always a good time. Seeing people get all dressed up and
right.
having a good time.
Right.
I got to add, guys, too. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, other regions and across the nation, and our state meeting in Wisconsin, I mean, it's one of the best. It is known as being one of the best. So it's known.
All right.
Well, there's a ton of work going into it that goes into it. You know, back from the days when you were our state rep. I mean, and then Hollywood just kept driving that. Let's innovate. Let's push it forward. I mean, so you know, you and Hollywood are really to thank for how great our state meetings are now.
I'd point back at you a little bit, though.
Yeah. I think you have your hand in it as well. But it's really a collective. I mean, yes, we kind of push and drive it, but even the host chapter, the work that they do and make sure that we have a viable venue, if you will, that's easy accessible. Like the host chapters do a really, really good job. I don't, in the past, 4 or 5 years, we've had some really good spaces for us to hold the meeting. So kudos to all the chapters. Right?
Yeah. And I think one thing that we've always done really good as a state is when something big like that gets placed on a host chapter, like whether it be regionals or like the state meeting, that the state board is there to support
Right.
those host chapters and make sure they have everything they need, that all the planning is going well, that they're not missing something they need. So man, it's just so awesome to have that support. And I know that being one of those chapters that have been in that position.
Definitely.
All right. So why don't we kick it off over to Diggity. Diggity, what do you got from the region and from MBOD, from the national level? What do we need to be on the lookout for? Is there anything coming down, policy changes, anything like that?
There's not a whole lot coming down at this time. I mean, there's things that are in works and things that are being talked about, but as things come out, we'll make sure everybody knows. While I got the floor, I'd like to send a kudos out to 14-5 for hosting the region rally 2 weeks ago down in Plainfield, Indiana. That was a massive success. They did a great job. We had a great meeting, a great weekend of camaraderie and the whole region coming together. Next year's region rally will be in Illinois. The talk is Southern Illinois is what it's looking like. And as soon as we have any information that's locked down, we'll get that out to the region. But, for us in Wisconsin, I definitely encourage everybody to try to get down there, especially if it's just a straight shot to our favorite Southern neighbor. And but I hear there's good riding in Southern Illinois. We just got to, for most of us, go around the Chicagoland area to get down there. But yeah, just again, also kudos to all the Region 4 state reps. We had all 6 state reps there, and I know that's never been the case before at any of our region rallies, and I think that really shows how far we've come with the dedication of the leaders we have and all working together. We have a monthly call, not just the state reps, but all the command state officers in the region, and we get really, really good attendance on that, and just kind of all coming together and working as like a well-oiled machine. Even if we don't all agree on things, we're all working together to make sure we're doing right by the membership, and the communication's out there, and that we're working through things together and all on the same page.
Yeah.
As far as, there's not a lot of sanctioned events left in the region, but I do want to call out a couple. 35-9 has their sanctioned event October 3rd. That's over in Springfield, Michigan. 45-1, again, you guys mentioned it, the Auxiliary Scholarship Ball in Milwaukee. And then October 18th is another Auxiliary sponsored event. That's the 24-1 Fall Roundup. That's in October 18th in Litchfield, Illinois. And then we have two more. One is in Ohio, 12-7, their Holiday Cash Bash. That's in Willoughby, Ohio on November 8th. And then something I'm hoping I can make it to, because it's becoming a little famous, is the Circle R Ball, which is on New Year's Eve over in Lansing, Michigan. And that sounds like a really good time. And it's a good use of the Circle R and showing that off really well. But they do a good job up there. I've heard a lot of good things.
Mhm.
So if you're looking for any more sanctioned events this year, those are all out there for you guys.
And you said that's on New Year's Eve?
It's New Year's Eve. Yep.
Yeah, December 31st. I think we're planning on heading up there.
I was just
like
about
that.
to-
I've heard about it the last 2 years. I was like, that's kind of cool. Something different to do, you know?
might have to drop my kids off at the grandparents and take a trip out to Michigan with Stephanie this year.
There we go.
So looking at it from a high level perspective, Diggity, going from a state rep to a region rep, within the state, every chapter has their own quirks, and you have to get used to those and like what every chapter does best, and what every chapter does worse. If you could take your experience from being a state rep to a region rep and now dealing with states in the kind of the same way, what would you say is different from being a state rep, or is it more of the same, just dealing with bigger children instead of a lot of little children?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty easy to answer, because I could tell you what we did in Wisconsin over the last few years, not every state had done. And that's not a knock on them. It was just kind of us advancing the evolution of not only state officers. I mean, you guys have, state pro and state webmaster being huge assets to me to be able to be successful as a state rep, but also having a state secretary, having a state sergeant at arms, a quartermaster, a treasurer, that all was, something that I believe strongly in, because you can delegate the work. In the old days, one guy being a state rep and managing all of that, you're going to fail. Like that, nobody should, unless you are retired and that's your full-time job, maybe then. But we all have skills that we should be able to use. And you two are, again, great examples. I mean, Scorp with your tech stuff and Hollywood with your public relations stuff. I mean, you guys are the perfect people for those type of roles, that's so becoming the region rep, I got to work with each state to kind of help them evolve into what we had already done. Not everybody wants to jump right into that. Maybe, not having a state pro right away or a state treasurer, and that's totally fine. But just, I'll tell you, state secretary was something that I really felt strongly about with applications.
Yeah.
A state rep doesn't necessarily need to be involved in the applications. They're the final authority on a lot of waivers or other things like that. But really, allowing other people to take the help you and take responsibilities helps all the states.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I know with back in July at Nationals or June actually, we had leadership changes within NBOD. And changes can always be a great thing, and sometimes changes can be a kind of thing.
That was done, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, how are you feeling so far? Or do you feel like the association is heading in the right direction?
I feel like we're heading in the right direction. I think Berge and Mutt both were in those positions for 2 terms. So, for good and bad of being in a position for 2 terms, they knew what they were doing, and some things were kind of set in their ways, and that's not necessarily a positive or a negative. So I think, whenever you have new leadership come in, you kind of reassess everything and just, does this make sense still? Or does that make sense? Or why do we do this? Or why do we have that? Nothing should be just because we've always done it that way. So I feel that, especially I can speak to working with Lefty as the national secretary. He's he's working really closely with us to understand what maybe hasn't been working and what we can do better. And that for me being like an IT process kind of guy, that makes me really happy because there's a lot of ways we can improve. Any process can always be improved so in some way to be made more efficient. And I think
Right.
we're getting there. And that makes me really happy. And I think it's going to make everybody feel that, and even down to the chain of command at chapter level, feeling that change.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we appreciate you sharing all that insight with us. If there was anything you were going to say to like a new member coming in right now, who's not used to the way things used to be. I mean, things are so different now than the way they were. What's some advice you would give to a new member?
I believe strongly in not necessarily assigning somebody a sponsor or like a mentor type person. We don't need to do all that. I mean, unless you choose to do that. But I think finding a friend or somebody a riding buddy, somebody you become closer friends with that's been around a while and can kind of just show you the ropes. I mean, maybe if you're a new motorcycle rider or if you've never been around group rides. I mean, for a lot of guys, they putted around town and then all of a sudden they join us and it's like, oh, I'm going on a giant group ride now. And that's a big deal. So I
Right.
think just adopting and buying in. And if you really want to, buy in on the association, I mean, everyone should do it, but getting on the national website and like looking at the repository and maybe the forum. I mean, the forum's become a little more of a better place than it used to be, but tread carefully down there. But really, the repository, there's a lot of policies, bylaws, applications, forms. You can educate yourself on what the CVMA is all about in the back end. If you care for all the administrative stuff, it's important to know, and you should care.
Yeah, I mean, and not only just from like what the standard is and what does right look like. There's just a lot of information in there, anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
I know when Theo was still the state pro, me and him all like anytime we had to approve a flyer or looking at something on the websites, it was always digging into the
Right.
branding guide or
Yep.
the
The
LU,
LUA.
yeah, and just man, like
Yeah.
there's so much you have to intake and process. It's a lot.
I'd say, you hit on the brand manual and whether people like the brand manual or not. I mean, if you're going to try to use our logo in any way, like you really got to know what you're doing. You really shouldn't just be like, I'm going to go make something with the CVMA logo. Cause it's not ours, it's all of ours. And so everyone, needs to be through the approved process. And a lot of things don't have to go through a major process. A lot of things can be approved by the commander or the state rep. And that, people think that maybe it's going to be a horrible process, and it's not always. So I think to add to your question about how to get educated or how to, learn about things, that's a big one too. Cause our brand means everything. I mean, our patch is who we are. It's everything. So we got to protect it and make sure it's used properly and in the right way.
For
Correct.
sure.
Yeah. Navigating the national website is really good. Even, I know that when a new member gets approved and payments made and whatnot, they get the welcome email that has login information. It should really be, and I know that the commanders get that same notification. It should really be, hey, let me walk you through at least that part, right? Let me walk you through the national website so you can go find
Yeah.
the information. Here's our chapter bylaws. Here's the bylaw. Here's the national bylaws. Here's our bylaws. All right, like
You even made me think of it too. I mean, looking at your 201 file, events are important, especially if you're trying to get life membership or you're just, you want to make sure that you were document being at this certain event. And, if you don't look at your 201 file, maybe it didn't get swiped. Maybe it didn't work. Maybe something, didn't happen there. And if you don't notice it for months later, we've had it happen where somebody applies for LRP or life membership. And it's like, sorry, that's not on your file. And then they're, upset that it's not on there, but really it's the member's responsibility to check their file and make sure your file's up to date, your address is right, your events are on there. That's where I think it's really important members are getting on the website too.
definitely.
Yeah. And I think one thing as an association we need to take into consideration is the evolution that DOD, well, actually DOW now because they're the Department of War, takes in and the ever shifting changes that they go through. which I think kind of brings us into our next topic, Theo.
Yep. Yep. So now it's veteran news and recognition changes. Scorp, I believe you've got some info on that. If you want to touch on that.
Yeah, so the Army just announced recently that they're expanding combat patch eligibility to cover
Mhm.
from October 2023 to 2025, which I think is great for our association because it allows that expansion of members in from guys who weren't in the OEF, OIF days.
Right.
Because there's probably a ton of those young soldiers that want this, but they can't get in because they don't have meet those combat eligibility requirements. And that one specifically covers CENTCOM and AFRICOM. Um, it fixes the unit recognized, but the soldier is not. So if the soldier was assigned to the unit, they should also be recognized at that point. And it
Mhm.
looks like it's going to impact a lot of VA claims and hazard pay and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's
any
gonna be
vets who were previously denied qualification with those may be able to get qualification now with updated requirements.
Did that just come out? I'm guessing.
Yeah, that was very recent.
Okay.
Um, and then I think those are great things. So it just improves that our membership qualifications and people can become members. And not only that, but from a VA standpoint, how those members get VA eligibility through those new standards. So it's probably a good thing. But I just hope that this goes up the chain and our secretary, our national secretary, is looking at how to expand eligibility requirements for new members.
Well,
right. Yeah, that's gonna be huge. Just when you think about it, like we really haven't been in any conflicts, if you will. So the future is something to look at, something to think about. But this is going to be huge. Just expanding that. I can't tell you how many times. I know three off the top of my head. Applications that I've come across that where the unit that they were in is under question if it was combat or not. And they're like, well, yeah, we were, and they may not have. They were assigned to the unit. They have the award, but it's not doesn't meet our member qualification. It's not on the list, if you will. Uh, so hopefully, like you said, hopefully uh, Lefty is looking at it and they can get this updated. Uh, so go ahead, Diggity. What do you got? Comments you got?
I'll be a bit controversial as a region rep, but I'm just going to point out that something I'm very strongly for that hasn't happened is Djibouti. You guys probably have heard me talk about Djibouti before because I bring it up often. So our membership qualification policy does not allow someone who is deployed to Djibouti to be a full member, but they are authorized to wear a combat patch, and that is where I take issue with that, because if the military authorizes them to wear a combat patch, then to me, I don't know how the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association can tell someone who is
Right.
authorized to wear a combat patch that they're not allowed to join our organization. And I'm going to continue to fight that for as long as I can. And that's so to this story, if someone has eligible for combat patch, to me, that should be an automatic no brainer. I don't care where you served. That means that you
Right.
earned it.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, and on their DD 214, if it lists combat zone, like that should be the end of the story.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, we are the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association, and then within that, we have classes of membership to support for people who didn't deploy. But we should. I mean, if somebody's been deployed and they have that combat designation in their DD 214, why aren't we recognizing that?
Yep.
Mhm.
I tell you, over my time as Wisconsin state rep, that was what I saw most was young Marines who were deployed to the Middle East, but to areas like Djibouti or other specific areas that didn't qualify for combat, even though to most people and to most qualifications, they would meet combat. They would either become support members or they would not join because they were,
Mm.
oftentimes offended that we didn't consider that combat.
Right.
It's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah. I think it's something that, you guys mentioned. I mean, I think it's being assessed. That is a policy right now. So, I mean, if we wanted to make policy change, rolling it up for feedback, if you're a member who feels strongly about something and thinks something is wrong in the association, roll that up your chain of command to your commander, to get up to Theo, to get to me. And I'll get that to the NBOD, just to make sure that our voices are being heard, especially when it comes to policy. Because that stuff, the members don't always have input on that. So it's nice to roll that feedback up if you have it.
For sure.
Definitely.
All right, so why don't we slide into some motorcycle news? So it sounds like the cruiser lineup for 2025 for Harley Davidson is going to change.
Yeah.
You might have some more insight on that than I do.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot from my inside person that I have on that, as that's not her realm. But so the
But they're
Milwaukee,
changing their engine lineups, right?
yeah, they're changing their engine lineup. The Milwaukee 8117 is going with 3 different tunings: a classic, custom, and a high output. These engines offer better power, smoother ride, improved cooling, which is a big thing. I know, when you buy a new bike, you go ride it for a while. That left leg gets really, really hot. So hopefully these new engines will assist with that. The 117 high output and the Lowrider ST S and the ST makes about 114 horsepower, 128 foot-pounds of torque, which is up from the prior version. Up. Let's see. It looks like updated LED lighting, improved suspension, selectable ride models, and better heat dissipation. So it looks like they're trying to have them be able to be ridden longer. I know the Lowrider ST is actually one that I've had my eye on as a possible second bike. So this is kind of
Really?
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
Huh?
Just something a little lighter, something a little more cruisier.
Yeah, something that you can just bomb around, and sometimes the big bagger can get a little heavy sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, I just Googled it, and that does look pretty badass, I gotta say.
Yeah, and I've seen it where you can put speakers in the ST, but just something
Yeah.
different.
And then they also talked about bringing back the Ultra Classic, right?
Yeah, yep. There'll be a new Street Glide Ultra Classic, and looks like they're expanding their Pan America bike to the 1250 ST.
See, I think that's such a smart move by Harley was getting into the adventure. They brought out the live wires and those kind of went nowhere because nobody's cool on an electric motorcycle.
So how do you really feel, sir? Eric?
Hey, they're a cool bike. Don't get me wrong. It's
Mhm.
just, I mean,
Yeah, they're quiet. Yeah, it's I feel like you see. I don't know about where you live, but I always see people on their e-bikes and whatnot, and they're quiet, they're fast, and I feel like that the live wire was just a bigger version of that, to where the Pan America, it's a nice bike. I don't know if you've ever ridden one. A friend of mine had one. I rode it around my neighborhood, and down at the bottom of the hill, there's 2 basic open lots, and I just took it through there. I was on the road and then just left turn into the terrain, and it's kind of nice. It's kind of you kind of get the best of both worlds, because you can ride it on the pavement, and then say you're riding through a mountain area and you want to get up close to the mountain, you don't have to park your bike and then take the hike. I mean, you can, and if you want to, but you can also ride your motorcycle. Some of the places I've seen these motorcycles go through, I'm like, dude, there's no way. I don't know that I have the skill level to take them through it, but it's just cool that you can. All right.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a couple of videos where dudes would modify their road glides or their street glides, would put big old knobby tires on them and take them off road, and those just crack me up to a whole bunch. But yeah, no, I think it was such a smart move by Harley to get into the adventure motorcycle market.
Mhm.
It's just from the pure fact that I felt like it was dominated by like BMW,
Right.
and Honda and other segments like that. Where let's put some American power in there and show them what we can really do. I think it's an awesome idea.
Yeah,
Did you just say
definitely.
something nice about Harley?
Hey man, I'm not a bike snob.
Right.
Hey,
So,
I was actually at the Harley dealership the other day looking at a new Road Glide.
oh,
Really?
I
wow,
was.
that's breaking news. That's going to be
I,
breaking news, right?
I
But
was, but then I sat on it and my knees were touching my face, so I was like,
so it looks like Indians got some things going on too with the Chieftain Power Plus, the 112 upgrade,
yeah,
uh, which you know the Chieftain and the Dark Horse and the what's that, the Pursuit, I think.
yeah, the Challenger and the Pursuit, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
those are
how do you compete with that though? You got Harley running a 117, Indian producing a 112, and it's putting out more foot pounds per torque than the 117 is.
it's brand. I mean, it all comes down to brand. I mean, what do you like? You know, I dabbled in wanting an Indian Chieftain where I said that was the when I had my Street Glide, I was like, yeah, so I'll go to a Chieftain. But then I rode a Road Glide and Road Glide won.
Yep.
Right. Right.
The
Um,
new Challenger Elites are pretty damn sweet though.
yeah, yeah, true. But I already have my Road Glide and it's paid for, so
Yeah. I mean, and who wants to go and drop $50,000 on a new motorcycle?
right, right.
Okay,
Although
that
that
Challenger Elite is badass. So, like
which one?
the Challenger Elite.
Yeah, but if you look at that and you look at the Road Glide, the CVO Road Glide, I mean, they're almost identical bikes. I mean, aside from some styling changes, and obviously the name, the bikes are almost identical. I mean, I think one cool thing that Harley really did with those Road Glide CVOs is that carbon fiber. Um, they got all these carbon fiber accents on it, and then
Mhm.
the Öhlins shocks that they put on there.
Shots
I
on
mean,
them.
yeah, such a cool bike.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of upgrades. There's a lot of upgrades they did to that bike. I think it's got what Brembo brakes and
Yeah,
all
Brembo
that stuff.
brakes. Yeah.
So it's nice, but yeah, and that it's not necessarily my cup of tea. To go, one thing I've noticed since I'd say probably the last 3-4 years is Harley racing has become very popular and very mainstream.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Well, the King of Baggers kind of got really big and popular too.
yeah, I was just gonna say the King of the Bag, the Wyman brothers. I think was that last year or 2 years ago when they won, and that's what really kicked it off. And I think that's what spearheaded a lot of the ST and all that, even all the styling that's come out of that. Higher suspension. Yeah, yeah, it's a bagger and it's got bigger bags for the lean. But
Still pretty impressive to watch some dudes jump on some big ass baggers. I mean, and they're going as fast as you would on a crotch rocket around those tracks. It's amazing.
and their knees are touching in the turns. That's insane to me, right?
And
Like how do you? I mean, if you've been racing all your life, it's nothing. But I can't see. I'll dip in the corner a little bit. I scrape by a floorboard. I'm like, oh, a little too far. Right? Right?
yeah, well,
I was
those
just
things are going like 30 degrees, man, 15 degrees down to the pavement, dude.
yeah, yeah. It's insane. So on the motorcycle tip, just your own personal experiences. What's your worst roadside breakdown that you've experienced while on your bike, or that you've been witness to? Not necessarily accident. We're not going to talk about accidents, but just a breakdown.
I have been so fortunate to not have one yet. So I should knock on some wood. That's because I've chosen to ride actual motorcycles.
Damn.
Oh,
I'm, I'm
so
just, I'm
I think
just
you're outnumbered here, sir. You and your Indian. All right.
no, but I mean, honestly though, I've been fortunate not to say that. When I owned my Honda, when I had my crotch rocket a long time ago, me and Steph went out on a ride, and we did run out of gas in like the middle of nowhere, Tennessee.
Oh
So I
wow.
did have to run back to the gas station and get us some gas so we could keep going. And it was pretty chilly that day. What about you, Diggity? You ever crashed or, well, not crashed, but broke
I
down?
haven't crashed, but I've had a few Harley breakdowns, and I think I wouldn't say worst because it turned out okay, but it was 2020 and I went to nationals, and we didn't have full on nationals because of COVID. But I rode down with Doc, Steve Jensen, and Bruce Foss and Chopper, and on our way back, we were riding through horrible rain. Like it was just a shitty rainstorm. And we were getting on an on ramp back onto the freeway after a gas stop, and my shift linkage just broke off, so I couldn't shift, and I was just like in neutral. I everybody Chopper kept going, and me and Doc was behind me, so he stayed behind with me, and he had to happened to have some like chicken wire, like just wire in his tour pack, so he was able to like wire my shift linkage back together enough to be able to keep going. So Chopper ended up stopping at a hotel, an hour or two away, maybe an hour away, when he realized he was without us. And we got, well, I mean, I shouldn't say it was an hour after he realized it, but he kept going.
Right? He's
And
just like, "Bleh."
Where the fuck did he get?
And we caught up with him. And here was the coolest story, though. The best part of this was, I don't know anybody in Iowa, but I knew one guy that I served with at Fort Irwin when we deployed back in 05 and to Iraq. And I reached out to him on Facebook Messenger, and I'm like, I don't know, where you live in Iowa, but are you anywhere near here? And do you have a shift linkage? And he was like 45 minutes away, and he had the exact shift linkage I needed. And he rode over to us. We installed it right in the parking lot that night. And then me and him hung out and just sat at the bar for like 4 hours. It's the first time we had caught up in a long time. And it was really, really cool that the one guy I knew in Iowa had the exact
Right.
part I needed. So I'd say that was my worst breakdown, but also it turned out to be awesome.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
What about you, Hollywood?
So mine was, I believe it was 2018. I had just joined CVMA. I don't think I was in it for a year yet, and I was going down the nationals in El Paso. That was like the first big ride, long ride that I'd ever taken. And for those that have ridden with me, you know that I ride with audio like all the time, right?
Oh, yeah, we know.
Um,
No.
so right? No. Um, so I had just upgraded some audio stuff in my bike, and I headed out that morning to meet up with I believe it was Recon, um, Keith Jinks from Dash 7, and a couple other people I can't remember, but uh, I met up with them. Radio is out, like no music whatsoever. Rode all the way down to El Paso, and for those that were there, they know it was hot as hell. So I literally took my entire bike apart at the Airbnb, um, trying to figure out what went wrong. And after doing that, it was the fuse in the wire that goes to the battery had I didn't push it in all the way.
Oh, wow. That was it?
That was it. But I took the fairing out, took the fairing off, speakers, the bags off, all that. And then on that same trip, I actually lost a foot peg on the way back. So I'm literally sitting there riding, just going down the highway. All of a sudden, the foot peg just fell off, and it kind of threw me off balance, right? Because I was just basically just coasting, kind of. I don't want to say zombie riding, but kind of zombie riding, and my leg just fell off, and it actually hit the ground, and I like freaked out. I had to pull over, tried to find it, and then just kind of headed on out. There's been a few mishaps on trips since then, but nothing like that. Nothing like riding to El Paso with just the sound of your motor. Oh, I don't know how guys on soft tails in Sportsters do it. Like I
I
can't. I need something.
I love having music on a bike. Yeah, like I appreciate the sound of a motorcycle a lot, but I really like listening to music on a motorcycle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, like I just with that, then it's just you and your head just thinking about anything and everything, right? Like, yeah.
You know that first trip I went on to nationals in Wyoming in what was that 2021? I had
Yep.
the Scout, um,
Yeah.
and there's no speakers on the Scout, so I just had my helmet speakers, and going 90 miles an hour down the highway, it was not loud enough. So all I heard was like this faint music in the background,
Like
and
elevator
then
music, like, oh, I know that song, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and they're just like, oh, I think I know where it's at.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But that
Um,
bike is not built for long distance. I'll tell you that.
no, no. So, I talked about the Lowrider STB wanting to be like my second bike. A long time ago, it was the Scout. I think when I had first met you, you had the Scout, and I was like, oh man, that's really nice. But then I was like, I don't know if I can do that. Right? But yeah, the Scout's nice. Uh, so in your guys' opinion, what's the best or worst accessory you can put on a motorcycle?
Oh, I think we've talked about this in the past, but uh, personally, I think that giant ape hangers are the dumbest thing you can put on a motorcycle.
Like where you're like this?
No, no,
Like,
no. Like the guys that are like way up there, dude. And you and you're just like, why? I mean, I get it. No, I don't get it at all, actually.
yeah.
I know there's some really dumb things you can put on a motorcycle, but for me personally, the two bikes that I've had that were more, I guess, cruiser bagger style. I had the Scout, and then I had I have the Victory now, and without GPS, I don't know, or like at least Apple CarPlay, um, on my bike, I don't know how I would ever get around. I mean, it just makes it so convenient. I think that's probably
Mhm.
one of the best things I could put on my bike.
Definitely.
I
What about
think,
you, Diggity?
yeah, one of my best accessories. So my current bike, my 2011 Road Glide, it came with the hand guard or hand. What am I saying? Trying to say handlebar guards. The hand
Mhm.
like.
Oh yeah.
And I liked the way they looked at first. I bought the bike, but then I ended up replacing them with a newer set. But I really like those. I've heard enough rocks clink off of them, on certain rides where I just appreciate that they're not hitting me in the hands.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
so that's been pretty good for me.
I mean, and then in the colder months, do they provide wind protection to
I'm
your?
sure that, yeah, I mean, I'm wearing gloves then, but still, it's that extra little bit. And there's no negative to them. So I think they look good and they have a function. So it's been a good
Hmm.
accessory for me.
Right. So I guess for me, it's hard to say. I've heard people say, accent lights, they're dumb. But anybody that I know, like most people that I know, that have accent lights, they ride at night and it's more of being seen at night because
You mean like
you
the neon
yeah,
lights on
like
it?
neon lights, the
Yeah,
underglow, if you will.
underglow. Yeah,
Yeah.
And from a being seen standpoint at night while you're riding is always a plus for me.
yeah.
Um,
I have no issues with those. I think those are a
yeah,
good idea, just from a safety perspective.
right, exactly, exactly. Is it the best one? I don't think it's the best out there. Um, you know, on my Road Glide, I like the clean bars, but I'd say the thing I miss the most from my Street Glide is a cup holder. Such a couple, you know, if you just ride around town, ride to the bar, ride to whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you're on a long trip, I can't tell you how many times where I'm like, man, I just want to have like a bottle of water or something, and I'm riding with other people that have it, and I'm riding there and I look at them, and then they reach up and they take a drink. I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous of you right now. But I like the fact of not having anything on my bars. Uh, so I'm kind of right now in a dilemma, I'll say for next year. Um, there's multiple places that you can put a cup holder on your bike. Me with the styling of my side covers, I can't put the bag guards on. So I'm looking at rethinking kind of the design of my bike a little bit just for a cup holder because I don't want it on my bars.
Yeah, you can
Crazy.
put it down to the side or something, some ways where you can at least reach down and grab it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a motorcycle specific uh accessory, but it's more have you seen like the helmet covers? Like the big furry helmet covers that people will put on their helmets? Those are
Oh, yeah.
so
Like all the
dope.
different, yeah, like cartoon characters and whatnot. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I saw one just like last weekend. I was like, what is that? Like a big Elmo face riding down the road. Like, come on. Right? I
Yeah,
mean,
not my style, that's for sure.
yeah, no, definitely not. So I know you're up in, I'm not going to say northern Wisconsin, but you're more in central northern Wisconsin, if you will, Scorp and Diggy. I know you're not too far from me, but in your opinion, what are some top roads, like must ride roads in Wisconsin?
Oh, that's a good one.
I can share. I mean, like just earlier today, like I live near Holy Hill, like whole Kettle Moraine area right there. Like whenever I just need a quick ride, especially with one of my kids, like we just jump on and just take like a 20-minute, 30-minute ride around, going
Yeah,
down 167 by Holy Hill or anywhere, just country roads, just trying different roads that I haven't been down around my own little area. Because that's where I can get out the most and just really enjoy that for a quick little ride.
gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. So, in Green Bay specifically, there's Lost Dolphin or Double Z, and
Hmm.
it takes you right down by the Fox River. It's not a long ride, but it's probably, a 25-30 minute ride. And man, the scenes and just being out there by the river, it's such a cool ride. That's probably one of my favorites around here. Or if you go north, out towards Shawano, especially here in the next couple of weeks, that's going to be like my proving ground out there, I guess you could call it, or stomping ground. But I
Yeah,
love going out there with the leaves changing,
Yep.
just seeing all the beautiful colors. Man, that's such a pretty ride up there.
gotcha. Yeah, before a couple weeks ago, I would have said the road that kind of the road up and through Door County, like just the riding in
Oh,
Door County.
Oh yeah.
That's beautiful. But I went to our Madison chapter's ride, and the road that's around uh Kaz it's not Kazakhstan, but I broke down at the bar that was right there. But 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 kind of that Madison area, like up northern, like around Baraboo, all through there.
Oh
It's
yeah.
some beautiful.
yeah.
I was riding to their ride and I forgot that I was in Wisconsin. Just some of the landscape that's there. I think I don't know. I know it's not Long Lake, but there is a Long Lake that was right there on the way. If I can think of it, I'll mention it. But
Yeah, the riding around Devil's Lake and Baraboo
yeah,
Yes.
is amazingly beautiful
right.
out there.
Yeah, yeah, I love it, man.
I mean,
Uh,
even as a kid going to Wisconsin Dells growing up, man, that whole area, I haven't ridden too much through Wisconsin Dells, but like that, I know that area is so beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like it's untouched. It just is, right? It's
Yeah.
beautiful,
Yeah.
right?
I'll tell you the stupidest road to ride.
Go on.
29 from the east side of the state to the west side of the state is the most boring, most lackluster, nothing to look at road in the whole state.
Yeah.
It's awful. There's literally nothing. It's just you in the road. Not that's
Where does
bad.
that go through?
It goes so it's Green Bay through Wausau and then out to Eau Claire area, and it's the quickest way across the state. First of all, there's a couple reasons why it's dumb. There's nothing to look at is the first reason. The second reason is it's 65 miles an hour
Oh,
across the whole state. A major highway, 65 miles an hour all the way. So you can't
yeah,
get
that's
up to
no
any
good.
speed, and it's super freaking boring.
Yeah,
And
that's no
there's
good.
like little to no gas, like there's no place to stop along the way. And there's like you can go an hour and get to Wausau and stop in Wausau, but then Wausau to Eau Claire is like another 2 hours, and there's like nothing to look at or at all.
Oh wow.
It's awful, dude.
That sounds fun.
No.
I got to call out one other road. Like 3 years ago, I rode over to Michigan, and I went by myself, but I went up around the UP. And I don't know
Oh,
if you guys have been to the UP. I'm sure you have, Score. Hollywood, have
I
you?
have not.
It was cool. I mean, it was just I rode along Lake Michigan, and then that bridge that connects the Upper Peninsula to Lower
yeah,
Michigan.
the Merrimack.
I went through the Tunnel of Trees, which is a pretty famous
Hmm.
part road over there, and that was just really cool. I mean, I definitely encourage anybody, if you ever are looking, especially people that want to do going around Lake Michigan. I definitely go up. Again, I would try to avoid Chicago at all costs, but
Doesn't speaking of going up around Lake Michigan, isn't there a ride out of Michigan that's doing that? I think.
they did their ride yesterday. The
Oh, they
first
did it. Okay, I knew there was one like that. Though.
mid to tip ride. They went from like the bottom of Michigan all the way to the top.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Next year, with nationals in Buffalo, or it's not in Buffalo.
Syracuse.
Syracuse. Yeah.
Close enough.
Is it? Right?
Maybe not. Syracuse. I know we're gonna go up north, up and then come down, or go up north into Canada, and then come down through Canada, on the Canadian side of Niagara Falls and all that. So that'll be a really good trip too. I mean, it's
On your
it's
bike.
north, yeah.
Nice.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of bummed the nationals is so early this year. My son graduates high school the Sunday after the meeting, so I'm probably just flying out and flying back.
Hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, that's brutal, man.
Yeah, that's rough. I know. I think it was Colorado Nationals. It was like graduation weekend, right?
Yeah.
I know we're planning on going. Um, and I haven't figured out. I don't know if we're riding or trailer. So
How do you handle that? I mean, I've never been part of the nationals committee, but like, how do you set the date to make sure you're not screwing over other people? I mean, you'll always screw somebody over on
yeah,
something.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
I mean, and you hear it every time they release the schedule for nationals. It's like, oh,
Right.
one week's graduation, the next week's graduation, the next week's graduation. I mean, it's just at that time of year where you're trying to get everything in there.
I would
Well-
add though, I mean, Hollywood, you mentioned El Paso was burning hot. I mean, this last year, this was in Georgia, was really, really hot. And it's actually dangerous in some ways for some of our,
Yeah.
our older members, or just us in general being out on bikes when it's, the hottest month of the year in the South, so I'm always down for like discussion and ideas like that. I mean, maybe it should be considered having nationals at a different time of the year. I mean, might make sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
we gotta
always
be
in that,
mindful.
like. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, be mindful geographically. Like, what's the best month? Does it always have to be in June? Right.
Kind of like
I don't
you
know.
mentioned.
I don't know. I don't know if there was ever a thing where it has to be a certain weekend. I know they try and stay away from Father's Day, but why not? Especially like you said, especially the southern states, when it's hot in June, July. Try and gauge that. But
Well,
you
I
know,
don't think I've ever looked, but does it say in the bylaws when the national meeting has to be held, or at least a month? Because if there's voting, that should be done annually, right? Or does it just say at the annual national convention?
right.
I'm not sure. I mean, I know I can tell you because I deal with it enough that for chapter bylaws, you have to specify when your annual meeting is, like within a
Yeah.
range. So it
Right.
might be within a 2-month range, but it has to be within that, within that range. So I would, without looking it up right now, I would imagine there probably is something that specifies the range, and it could have to do with our dues year as well, because our dues year ends, the end of June. So our meeting is always, a few weeks before the end of our dues year. So that could have maybe something to do with it historically, at least.
Yeah, it's in Article 8.
Aha. that's another tip I would give to anybody who's also going to the repository is Control F. If you want to just look for stuff instead of having to read through everything.
Yeah. VIII. Yeah, I don't see anything in here about a date.
I know, oftentimes kind of like the region rally as well. It's hard to lock in on a certain week.
Here it
Go
is.
ahead.
Unless extraordinary, so this is in section 2 or Article 8, section 2. Unless extraordinary circumstances dictate otherwise, the annual meeting of the members of the in the MBOT shall be held in June of each year.
So
The
there it is.
meeting shall never be held on Father's Day weekend.
Yeah, just something to look at. Just open it up. I think sometimes it would. I'm sure it would help with finding venues.
Yeah.
If it was more of a, hey, what do you have open during these months, not just this one month, right?
Yeah.
The good thing though is like the rotation. If your state's going to get or your region's going to get hit with it like 2 years beforehand. So
Right.
Well, and if you remember this last year, there was a bylaw change proposal that was to only have 2 locations, and every year it would just alternate from like one east of the Mississippi and one west of the Mississippi. And the idea, while I think it was well intended in a way, was that you could lock down that venue and you have it set and you're doing the same thing every other year. And it would be really easy to plan if you have it kind of locked in. The way we do it, which is good and bad, and you're starting over every year in a way, new people are taking it over. And yeah, you probably have a playbook passed on to you, but it's still, the city's not used to it. Maybe, like some cities, Athens was kind of different. Hollywood, you were there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think having these conversations is huge. And, us three, we've had many of these conversations over the years, but just talking through ideas and kind of going back to what you said earlier, Score, for any new member, ask why, ask people that have been around a while, why we do things the way we do. Maybe there's a good reason for it, or maybe it's time to change it and look at it,
Yeah. And I don't necessarily go to nationals for the meeting. The meeting's part of it. It's nationals is an experience. It's from day 1 to day 7 that you're there, and you're there with your brothers and sisters, and you're just hanging out and having a good time. I don't know a single time that I've gone there and I was like, oh yay, let's go to the meeting. The meeting's just
Right. Yeah.
I did the coolest thing this year. I rode down to North Carolina with a guy from Michigan and a guy from Indiana. And I just met them, in the last few months, like in the probably last 6 months before, we had went down. And it was like the time of my life. We went through mountains, we went through, it was just a crazy adventure from Indiana down to North Carolina with 2 random guides. And it was amazing. We stayed at another member's house down in North Carolina, and they welcomed us in like family. And, I could speak to that adventure forever. And I think the adventures that we all have that we could speak to about going to or from nationals, I look forward to that every year now. Like how am I going to make that into another yearly adventure?
yeah.
Right. And that's what it's supposed to be about, right? Like getting out, connecting with people like-minded. That's really what this association is supposed to be about,
Right.
in my opinion, is getting out, supporting and hanging out, getting to know, and just getting out and riding together, right? Like,
Yeah,
huge.
and then you build those bonds over the whole country. Like me and Bocephus became really close, and then and that was just through him doing his speech that he does every year, the Patch on My Back speech. And man, I love it every time he does that.
Yeah. Like there's people in Kentucky that are good. Chaos, Big Pen, Sunshine. Rotor from Virginia saved me on my vacation as I was stranded in a bad driveway on an Airbnb on our motorcycles. But I never would have met Rotor if I wasn't able to connect just going through. I think I put something on the national site, right? But yeah, well, those type of things and those stories are why I love the association the way I do, right?
Yeah. I think sometimes when we get frustrated with the way, we don't like a certain policy or a way of bylaws
Right.
written, I think when you step back and look at the bigger picture as to why you're here, I think does kind of overshadow some of the little things. And I think sometimes people get too hung up on the little things and they're like, oh, fuck this, I'm out, fuck you guys.
Right.
Where if you looked at the bigger picture as why you're here, it would just take over precedence of the little things. Like every organization you're ever going to be a part of is going to have problems. It's looking at why you're actually there.
The thing that rejuvenates me the most, if my battery's low, is like going on a ride with a group of CDMA guys. Like it just completely. You guys talked about it on one of the previous podcasts. I think Theo, you hit on it. I mean, you're in formation and you're riding as one pack, and like it just that makes me like just so full and just happy. Again, when I'm feeling down.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. This past August, and there was I think there was a CVMA event every weekend. And you get to see a lot of the same people all throughout the state. It's good, and it does really just rejuvenate you and refocus and just does you good on the inside, right?
Yep.
For sure. Are you guys going to be at the Leather and Lace Bowl?
Yes.
I'm not.
Lame-o.
Right.
You don't want to see me in lace.
I mean, I have some thoughts in my head about you being in lace right now.
It's not.
Oh boy.
All right, never mind.
Right. Is that the mic that's sticking up right now? Score for it.
Jesus. Oh, that's too funny. Well,
I would
anyways, I think that's going to be a wrap for episode 4 of Down the Barrel.
On that note.
Big thanks to Diggity. Thank you so much for coming, man. We really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you very much for being.
Thank you for having me. I mean, this is like what we used to do after all of our officer calls, where the three of us would just keep going and keep talking and catching up on things and
Right.
Yeah,
sharing ideas.
Yeah, it's always good to get together. So thank you again for being here. Theo, we'll see you next time. And to everybody out there, have a really good one.
Yep. Have a good day, guys. Take it easy.
Everybody.